So, Jaguar Wright has just allegedly leaked a voice call of Diddy trying to get his team to destroy any evidence that could still be linked to him. This is huge because it means that if the feds find out that something has been moved, this could be the end of Diddy having any chance at getting out of prison.
The fire investigator said he took those slides as a part of his investigation to see if he could match anything that was found on the bottle inside the car. And he said if that evidence had been destroyed, he would have had to sign off on it. But an LAPD officer who was not involved in the investigation at all signed off on the destruction of that evidence.
Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes.
The what?
All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes.
Okay.
Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about.
Yeah.
Did Jay reach out yet?
Nah, Bob. He ghosting.
What the f is this motherfucker doing?
It's all good. You about to get out on bail.
No. Hey, yo, check this out. Need you to reach out to the producer. Let these motherfuckers know there's a release date for that new Netflix movie.
Alright, Pop. What about all these lawsuits, though, Pop?
Ain't none of them getting shit. I ain't worth nothing. Ain't got shit in my name anyway. Don't even worry about it. Bunch of money hungry and shit.
Pizza boxes? Asking to reach out to Jay? Talking about a Netflix movie? On the surface, this may all seem disconnected, but I can assure you, all of these seemingly innocuous coded statements actually come together in an extremely sinister way. So buckle up, because we're going to go over all we know and what this leaked phone call could potentially tell us about Diddy and his crimes. So when the call starts, he's talking to his son, King Combs. And the first thing Diddy says is basically, don't say anything on the phone. Right away, that tells you he's hiding something. He knows better. Jail phones have been recorded for decades. Everybody knows that. Then Diddy talks about getting rid of the leftover pizza boxes. Let's be real. He's not talking about actual pizza. Nobody believes he has random pizza boxes lying around his mansion. That sounds like code for something he wants gone, something he doesn't want the police to find. Many people are speculating that this could be all the blackmail footage he has in his possession. Footage that even the feds may not have found yet.
When the feds come to them and show them what they got on tape, because if he had 250 tapes all over, 250 cameras all over the house, somebody got caught stealing a cookie out the cookie jar. It could be your favorite pastor. It could be your favorite politician. But they didn't think they was being watched. And Brother Love was watching.
Yeah, I mean, TD Jakes, he hasn't even came out and said anything. And him and Diddy was real cool.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, man. And I know the people in the congregation over there is shaking in their boots because this man didn't led them probably, allegedly, probably led them to damnation because those people's hearts are gonna be broken if that man is seen on those tapes doing anything. Because people always put their faith in the pastor instead of putting their faith in God. And what they need to do is understand that he's just a man. And he has a history. It's not looking too good for him.
So you feel like celebs are worried that they might be on tape?
Oh, they know. That's why they ain't speaking up or saying nothing. Yeah, I was at a Diddy party, but I know I ain't do nothing. When you don't know somebody's taping you, when you don't know that somebody is videoing you in some kind of form or fashion, you got that alcohol, you got the drugs in you, they're a little loose, bruh. They let down all their inhibitions. The music is pumping. He said it himself. He got it so hot in there that you gotta take your clothes off. He said that himself, bruh. So a lot of them Like what was what he said? I think a lot of them was being swallowed.
Then he tells King to recycle the plastic. Again, who cares about recycling when you're sitting in jail? That sounds like more code. What's made of plastic? CDs, DVDs, maybe old tapes or devices that store information. Whatever it is, it sounds like something he doesn't want anyone getting their hands on. Is he trying to destroy evidence the feds might have? The answer is yes.
Prosecutors asked the fire investigator in charge of the case about fingerprint cards that were taken from the home when they were investigating the burglary about a month earlier. The fire investigator said he took those slides as a part of his investigation to see if he could match anything that was found on the bottle inside the car. And he said if that evidence had been destroyed, he would have had to sign off on it. But an LAPD officer who was not involved in the investigation at all signed off on the destruction of that evidence. And that's when the defense freaked out, stopped everything, and called for a mistrial.
Okay, slow that down one more time. You said the destruction of the evidence, that is, the fingerprint card, was ordered by someone not connected to the arson investigation?
Correct. That's what that fire investigator testified to. And he said he found that very, very odd. That was not typical procedure.
Okay, what was the ground for the mistrial? Diddy's defense team goes crazy when that comes into evidence that someone ordered the destruction of that fingerprint card with a female fingerprint on it. Was that female someone that worked for Sean Combs? That's the big question. Do we know who ordered the destruction of the fingerprint evidence, Sydney? Can't be that hard to find out. And what was the grounds for the mistrial?
So that's exactly what the defense team is getting at. They called that prosecutorial misconduct because the prosecutors were suggesting that Combs ordered that evidence be destroyed and somehow paid off investigators to make that happen.
Then comes the interesting part. Diddy asks, "Did Jay reach out yet?" King says, "No. Pop, he's ghosted." Now, if Diddy is talking about Jay-Z here, which is very likely, this just means that Sean Carter was also involved in Diddy's criminal empire and is likely starting to distance himself from the convicted mogul.
He brought you on to speak on Diddy, and it seemed that as if your focus turned to Jay-Z, his wife.
That's always been my focus.
Yes. What?
They're one and the same. Tell me something. When you have a peanut butter jelly sandwich, if it's just peanut butter, it's just peanut butter. If it's just jelly, it's jelly. When you put it together, it becomes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the taste is undeniable.
You saying Diddy and Jay-Z is peanut butter
jelly?
Peanut
butter and jelly. Let's deal with the sandwich.
We asked you this last time, and Piers Morgan said it. They're not here to defend themselves. Do you think they will, the Carters will speak about any of this at all? Do you just feel that they'll make any statement about what's going on?
Beyonce is losing hundreds of thousands, millions of followers every day. And she still hasn't said anything. Just pretending like life is great in Paris.
Then during the call, Diddy tells King to reach out to the producer of that upcoming Netflix show. Yeah, the one about him that 50 Cent is releasing soon. The one that's supposed to expose all the behind-the-scenes stuff about Diddy's parties and everything else. Does he want to prevent this series from coming out?
50 Cent has revealed the release date for his Diddy documentary. Sean Combs' The Reckoning is hitting Netflix on December 2nd. 50 Cent captioned it, "They said I was capping. What happened?" And it's been so long at this point, I thought maybe he was really just joking and this documentary wasn't happening, but obviously I was wrong. Because this is actually official. Not only is 50 Cent just posting this, so he's not trolling, it's being confirmed by multiple media outlets. And I have a feeling right now Diddy is sweating about what 50 Cent is about to put in this documentary. You know, 50 Cent's connection when it came to the Diddy trial. Not only that, we cannot forget during this Diddy trial, it was alleged much that Diddy wanted to off 50 Cent. 50 Cent stays trolling Diddy, so I am afraid that he is probably about to drag Diddy for filth in this documentary. It's about to be so bad. This is going to be a documentary that I'm going to watch just because I want to see how 50 Cent actually puts together this documentary.
But the flip side of the coin is a completely different theory altogether. While people are speculating that Diddy was talking about blackmail footage in the leaked phone call, others believe that this doesn't make sense, considering the feds already have all the footage they need to hurt Diddy. These people believe Diddy's actually talking about a different investigation happening into him right now, his role in the murder of Tupac Shakur. In an interview, former LAPD detective Greg Kading, one of the main investigators on Tupac's case, explained things he discovered years ago, and some of it still shocks people today. Kading said that during his investigation, he heard claims that Diddy offered $1 million to have Tupac and Suge Knight taken out. The person who told him this was Keef D, who is now officially charged in Tupac's murder all these decades later.
Mr. Sachs, go ahead.
So, Judge, this is sort of a...
What is the deal in the new case?
The deal of the new case is that he was on the strip to...
No, what did he plead to? What is he supposed to be pleading to?
The prelim went forward.
Okay.
And it was not up.
Okay. Okay, then you don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
I was just asking, I thought that case was negotiated, but the prelim went forward and he got bound up. Okay.
He was on Las Vegas Boulevard to follow up with some job applications. He had worked there before, even though he has some convictions. He had job applications at Burlington Coat Factory in Canes. So he goes to follow up with those, and then this happens with the new jurisdiction that has been created.
In the book, you said the third day after getting back from Vegas, you guys met up with Zip in LA.
At Wingstop.
At Wingstop.
Yeah. Not Wingstop, but Hot Wings. LA Hot Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you said that Puffy called and said, "Was that us?" And you didn't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. Yeah, you're right.
There's also, you go into the book, that apparently there was supposed to be $1 million that Zip was supposed to bring back, but he ended up keeping the money and buying a nightclub with it.
That's what the FBI said.
The FBI said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys never got any money?
Never.
For anything?
Nothing. Not even a pair of Sean John drawers. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. It seemed like Puff do that though. He seemed like every time some bad go around here, he it looked like it's some on the grass.
Keef D even mentioned that Diddy was so scared of Tupac and Suge that he had Navy SEALs protecting him at one point.
You know what I'm saying? I met you in what was that? We had a place called Compton Hydraulics. And he called and asked to use some lowriders. And I pulled over my 64, and he had Usher. Usher was a little kid, like 13, 14, and Usher like, "Mom, I want to buy that car." Ooh. I said, "Young man, this car ain't for sale right here. It's priceless. It's like my girl." You know what I'm saying? But that's when I met Puff. Then he gave it. I met him that day. That was like, 91? That's when I met Puff. I met him, then after that Big Jake stuff, I guess he knew that Zip knew me, and he called and he said, "How you feel about me going to concerts out there?" I'm like, "What's gonna happen?" He like, "Man, I'm scared of the big boy." I mean, he didn't say it in that type of words, but he like the big CEO guy. You know what I'm saying? The first time we went to the concert, it was in San Diego, and this nigga had Navy SEALs in the next room. They looked like the FBI with earpieces and everything. Like, damn. And that tripped me out. Like, man, what the fuck you need with them? He like, man, Joe, I'm just gonna be safe. Matter of fact, the Dallas Cowboys was stayed in the same hotel with us that night. They was in the same, Dallas Cowboys was playing the San Diego Chargers. And Deion then was playing for them. Deion, Michael Irvin, Aikman, and Emmitt Smith now. There's there was somebody at that hotel was pathetic, boy. Shocking them dudes, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, that night, he had Navy SEALs up in there. You can ask Gene Deal, you think I'm lying. You know what I'm saying? The next one. What the f?
It's wild because the same names keep popping up, almost like the old story never really ended. Kading also brought up how his view of Diddy has changed over time. Back then, he said Diddy wasn't helpful when the police tried to figure out who killed Tupac and Biggie. For someone who was close to the situation, he didn't act like a friend or a manager trying to help get justice. And now, looking back, Kading believes Diddy might have been scared of accidentally revealing something that could connect him to one case while trying to talk about another.
I can tell you regarding Diddy back when Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls were murdered. He wasn't exactly cooperative. He didn't do what you would assume a friend or, you know, a manager, so to speak, would do. So from a law enforcement perspective, he was very unhelpful in an area where he ought to have been contributing towards getting some type of justice in those two cases. But as we found out in time, he was complicit in one of them, and which would make sense why maybe he didn't cooperate in the other, because the two were, you know, they were just, we always understood that they were somehow interconnected. And so if you're going to cooperate or provide information on one and you're culpable in the other, you know, one thing could lead back to the next. And that's where I think he understood his own vulnerability.
You know, it's interesting because recently I did an interview with Suge Knight from prison, and he made the allegation that Diddy's been an informant for 20 years.
Yeah, everything that Suge says ought to be taken with a grain of salt. I mean, nobody lies more than Suge Knight. And you know, so Suge Knight is one of the biggest hypocrites I've ever met throughout this whole entire story as it relates back to either Tupac or Biggie's. And so I take everything that he has with a grain of salt. Most of what he says is pure speculation. It's just based on stories he's heard and just hearsay and all of that. And again, we kind of, as you know, as Christian men, ought to be careful about falsely accusing people, because even when those things turn out to be untrue, the damage is already done just by, you know, you can't unring a bell of an accusation.
Kading said he even checked old federal files from the 90s and said there wasn't a single sign Diddy was ever an informant. This is, however, only relevant until the 90s. It doesn't eliminate the possibility that Diddy could have become an informant later. But when it comes to the claim that Diddy paid for a hit on Tupac, Kading said he actually believes Keef D's story. When they interviewed Keef D back in 2008 and 2009, almost everything else he said was proven true. So this part carried weight too. And when you look at the tension between the record labels, the friendships, the gangs, and the fear people felt at the time, it all fits the bigger picture.
And when he told us about the solicitation for Tupac's murder, it made sense within the context of the ongoing rivalry that was taking place between Puffy and Suge, Biggie and Tupac, and the gangs that they were affiliating with. So there's already a well-established history. And so once he tells us that, yeah, you know, Puffy was scared to death. He knew he had a target on his back. Every time he came to LA, Suge's goons were, you know, trying to track him down. They had kidnapped somebody in furtherance of trying to find out where Puffy's mother and family lived. So all of this led to support or substantiate the claims that Keith Davis was making about Puffy's solicitation. Originally, I thought that the solicitation was somewhat just an expression of exaggeration. Like, man, these motherfuckers are breathing down my back. They, you know, they want me dead. When they go and he gives us this explanation of the solicitation, I thought that perhaps Puffy was just really desperate and afraid. He's like, man, I'll give you whatever you want to take care of these guys. I just don't want to have to come into LA and, you know, look over my shoulder. So I thought it was that. But as things unraveled in the last decade, I'm seeing a completely different character and nature of Puffy that I didn't take into consideration at that time. Now I see maybe he's capable of doing something as direct and intentional as what Keef D was saying happened.
Kading would also discuss how the whole rivalry between Diddy and Suge even started. At first, both record labels were friendly. But things changed fast when each label tried to move into the other's territory. Bad Boy wanting a West Coast branch and Death Row wanting an East Coast one. The real breaking point came when Suge Knight's close friend and bodyguard, Jake Robles, was shot and killed in Atlanta by someone connected to Diddy's camp. After that, it stopped being a business rivalry. It became personal.
As soon as Puffy's bodyguard shot Suge's bodyguard, now blood was on the ground. Now it's an actual feud where there's nowhere to go but, towards retaliation.
So that's where it started then. Two bodyguards shot at one another.
One shot and killed the other.
Oh, okay, I got it. And that was back in Atlanta?
That was in Atlanta. And this was what? It's 1995, I believe it was.
And then Tupac was shortly after that, and then Biggie shortly after that, within a year or two.
Yeah, Tupac in September of 96 and Biggie in March of 97. But there was all kinds of other drama and hostility and gunplay that had taken place in between those individual events.
And in your investigation, I mean, were you able to turn a lot of people, flip a lot of people, create a lot of informants?
Absolutely. And everybody, we say this all the time, everybody has a number, and you get them pressed up against a wall, and there's a number that they aren't willing to do insofar as a prison term. And when they need to wiggle themselves out of it, more often than not, they do by providing information to the law enforcement.
And let me ask you this, Greg, regardless of, and this is something I learned, regardless of, all of the advancements in technology and video surveillance and everything, most of these cases don't survive without witnesses, without informants. Would you find that to be true?
Absolutely. Yeah, informants are still one of our strongest tools.
Now, however, Kading unfortunately believes that Diddy will likely never be arrested for Tupac's murder. Could this be because Diddy and his team managed to move all the evidence tying him back to it recently? That certainly seems to be the case because Kading was recently asked what it would take to build a real case against Diddy for Tupac's murder. And Kading didn't sugarcoat anything. He said that even if the things Keef D claimed were true, like the times he said Diddy asked for the hit, there still isn't enough to actually charge him.
Detective, what do you feel is needed, or what would you be comfortable having to present a case against Puffy? With all the information that we know today, what would you need, in your professional opinion, to actually try to pursue him?
Well, if the claims that Keef D made about the solicitation, the multiple solicitations happened, and I believe there were conversations, but if those things were a true bona fide solicitation for murder, then you're going to need some really strong, credible, corroborating witnesses. You're going to need people that said, I was there when a financial transaction took place and it was very clear what that money was for. I was there when the agreement was made. I spoke with Puff about it and he told me that he'd hired these guys. You're going to need some really strong, credible witnesses to support what Keef D said. Absent that, you're dead in the water.
So do you think it'll ever be possible that anything will get to Puffy or no?
Not, in my opinion, I don't see it happening.
This all seems extremely convenient now for Diddy, with evidence burning down, short sentences, and the possibility of early release. It feels like he has friends on the inside who are moving heaven and earth to protect him. Do you think he deserves all the lucky breaks he's getting? Let us know in the comments below.